to emphasise what Helen said. The heart of the structure of the project is pretty much the same as it is, was and will continue to be, I think, under Internet Archive. And the OpenWayback part is really about how we manage the steering of the project in releases. Right? So anything I say just now will apply to both code bases because they're currently planning to keep them in sync, and any structural changes will be reflected in both. Anyway, so this is what you meant. I've forgotten what we're going to do for this, but just going through this, the overall structure. So actually, I should step back slightly. So the first part you need to know is about the there's a sense in which, from a good development point of view, Heritrix and Wayback should be in the same repository, because for a long time changes would happen to them all simultaneously, and you'd have to be running the right snapshot version of Heritrix and run the right snapshot version of Wayback to make sure the stuff underneath the hood was being was consistent. So on the road to removing that kind of behaviour, the Web Archive Commons project was created. It had a different name, but it was created by Internet Archive a while ago. And the idea is that this would be, versioned and released, and you wouldn't rely on snapshots, and this would contain the common code between Heritrix and Wayback. So it's just to give a bit of context. If you're going to mess around with the OpenWayback code, you'll also be depending on this, and there are relationships between Heritrix and Wayback that come up occasionally. Right? They're not they're kind of coupled, particularly around canonicalization and other areas. Anyway, so stuff about how you handle URLs and all that kind of common stuff is in here, and that's good. But you should be aware of it. And then OpenWayback uses Maven to pull that in, along with a ton of other stuff. So the core bit is where most of the Java goodness is. So in here, all the classes which do the rewriting and to support the different modes of access. And as a code base, it's showing its age. It doesn't use Spring or any other off-the-shelf kind of request routing framework. It has its own request mapper. It's relatively low level. It's serverlet application. And structurally, it's rather like Heritrix in that there's a core which provides the libraries with all the functionality, and then there's a web application, an application project, and this is mostly the user interface shims and the Spring. So you have to know Spring if you want to play with this as well, which ties all the bits of the library code together to present the interface. So where is it? Better be in here. It's this thing. So when we talk about installing, configuring Wayback for your needs, the heart of that is this XML file, which works just like the Heritrix one. It's a set of Spring beans. I personally don't like Spring very much because it's like programming in XML and it makes my brain hurt. But when it's good, it's more like smart properties files, and it's quite manageable. When it's bad, it's like a Turing complete nightmare. But anyway, these XML files are the things we'll be twiddling with later on, and the things you need to change when you install. And that's what pulls everything together to give you your playback. And the UE stuff is a long. Oh, there's not much in there. In fact, all of these folders, I think, contain the various UE bits and bobs that present the timeline and other things. I'll come back to those in a second. So that's. These two are the heart of it. One change we've made, just to be aware of, is I don't know if you're aware of the Travis continuous integration system. So the way Internet Archive did their, they have Jenkins, I think, and so they build on every commit, as one should, with a big complicated project, and so do we. This has been quite useful because Internet Archive's continuous integration system and their hosting of artifacts from Java, it's all on their infrastructure, so it's all in the ENUS locale. And actually, a few bugs came up because if you run run Wayback in a different locale, the tests don't pass, or didn't, and now they do. So that's good. We managed to find that.
Oh, you have a Ruby code?
No. That's not me. That's someone else. How dare you? No. Oh, where is it? Oh, anyway, let's not get into that. Oh, there it is. So all pull requests and check-ins are tested. And that's part of the review process when we're pulling in new code. And the other component that's worth mentioning is this one, because it's potentially useful, but it's important to understand how it works. You don't need the CDX server. So what does a CDX server do? It takes a CDX and it makes it available over a JSON REST API. This is potentially really handy and a replacement for some of the XML query stuff that's in Wayback itself. You don't need to deploy it to run Wayback, but you might find it's a good way of deploying Wayback for you. And you may find, I think we'll probably end up doing this, is other code might use it to check what's in Wayback, and it'd be more effective than using the older XML-based interface. But just to be clear about it, you don't actually need it, but it might be quite useful. And structurally, that's about it. We also we use the Maven stuff to build a Maven site for the code, and this should be in the wiki. Yes, there it is. So time. So another kind of change to the way Wayback was managed is originally Wayback's documentation had fallen out of date a little bit, and it's only in the Maven repository and is used to build the Maven site. So it's only made available when you do a release. It looks like this, classic Maven stuff. What we've tried to do, and we'll see how well this works, is we'll actually author some of these documents as wiki documents on GitHub, but then freeze versions of them into the Maven repository and publish them when we do releases. That's the idea anyway. So that they can be a bit more lively and a bit more communally edited more easily, but that they're still versioned and formally released. And yes, that's probably about it that I have to say.
Question? Would
Yep.
you plan to merge next time with the Internet Archive Wayback branch?
We could. So we've only just been in a position where the Internet Archive have had resource to do this, and it's Kenji. What's it?
Yeah.
Kenji's. I can't remember his surname.
Kawasaki.
Yes, I think
He
so.
only started working on this last December.
Yeah. Actually, that's not gonna. That's not gonna work. What we should do, we haven't decided this yet, and is just have some kind of routine where every month or something we attempt to synchronize and look for any issues.
Because they changed a lot of things in the last half year.
Yeah, but actually the synchronization has gone not too badly because there's not been too many major structural shifts. So it's. Oh yeah, they left. They haven't changed the name, have they? That's hello. Hello. No, there's still quite a lot of synchronization to do. So we have bug fixes they don't have, and they have bug fixes we don't have. So we should review that again soon. It was a while ago I did the last pull request to do async. Anyway, sorry. Yeah.
I have a lower level question. When I first started to work on, it wasn't OpenWayback, it was Wayback back then, and I had a trouble running it on OpenJDK. It worked only with Oracle Java.
Mm-hmm.
How's it nowadays?
I don't know.
About
Has anyone run it on
Java
Open?
compatibilities, Java 7, Java 8.
So
Everything just works.
I think those of us which are committers have only used Oracle JDK 7, right? So I don't know if it's tested on OpenJDK 7. Maybe I should add that to the continuous integration.